So 70mm IMAX is cool and all, but imagine watching the Odyssey on this? Well, I was half kidding when I said that. This is the Galaxy Z Fold 8 and I've been using it for the past week. Oh, my bad actually. As a tech YouTuber, I gotta say I've been using it for the last 168 hours. This phone is very interesting and it's kind of changing my phone habits, and I think it has the potential to change what foldables are about. My friends, enjoy the episode. You know what this phone reminds me of? It reminds me of the Nothing phone. So they are similar in a way that they both tried something new and exciting. I mean, when you think about it, it's just a traditional fold. But the thing with all the folds is that it is essentially a big flagship size. So if you're not using the inner display, you basically have a flagship device in your pocket. I'm gonna say this phone excited me more than the trifold that Samsung brought out last year. It is to a point where if Samsung released a phone that is not foldable, but that is this form factor and this size, I definitely would consider that phone. But I know this phone is expensive. It is around 2,700 Canadian taxes in. Now, if you are considering this phone, the trade-in option really helps, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that this phone is expensive. Generally, with how expensive things are, you're essentially getting a phone that is also a mini tablet. So in this economy, with the price of technology these days, is that worth it? That is something you have to kind of answer and ask yourself. With the time that I've been spending with this phone, I've been using the cover display more than the inner display, by quite a lot actually. But as soon as I try to get tasks done that would make sense to enlarge or use split screen, I'll go ahead and unfold the Z Fold 8. The way I go through this is I'll start the task with the cover display, then I'll remember, oh wait, I can unfold this phone and then go ahead and use the inner display. The thing about this phone is that it is definitely keeping me on my phone for stuff that is productivity related, and that's not something I'm really used to doing. If I don't want to work on my desk, I'll always have my laptop with me, but naturally, I've just been tasking on this phone instead of my 14-inch laptop. And this habit started forming when I started working outside as well. Sometimes for a change of scenery, I'll go to a coffee shop to work. And the 2 times that I've done this week, I left my laptop at home. Now, you might be thinking, is the size of the inner display big enough to get tasks done? For the past week, I've been getting a lot of stuff done on this phone. I've been writing my videos, and I'll use split screen and have, let's say, the Samsung page so I can run specs and fact check. Then I'll edit photos that I've taken on this phone, manage my content and filming schedule, send out emails. And I'm giving you all of this details so that you can think about it for yourself. In my experience, it has been pretty good to get a mix of things done. Now, I think there's a lot of interest towards the Z Fold 8, and one of the reasons is because compared to the flagship device, the S26 Ultra, Samsung did not dial back on features on the spec level. Brightness is there, anti-reflective coating is there, at least on the inner display. And yes, the cover display does not have the same anti-reflective coating, but the current coating intensity when combined with the 3000 nits peak brightness is not bad. And finally, yes, the phone does not come with S Pen or S Pen support. I personally don't use S Pen on my S26 Ultra almost at all, but I wish it had it because some of you use it and want it, and a foldable is a perfect device for the S Pen. Now, when it comes to the cover display, I do have a bit of a hot take on the 4:3 ratio, but before that, I want to talk about the biggest positive for me. See, usually on my desk, I have a few phones. 5 months ago, I switched to Android, to the S26 Ultra to be exact, but I also have my iPhone 17 Pro for FaceTime because I'm not a fan of WhatsApp's video call quality. Anyways, that is for another video. So a couple times a day, I'll grab a different device to do something. If my Z Fold 8 is charging, I'll grab the S26 Ultra to maybe grab a file or get something done. Same thing with my iPhone, but then I'll go back to the Z Fold 8. Every time I grab it and use the cover display, I fall in love with this form factor again and again. Typing is the best typing experience on a phone in 2026, in my opinion. Now, have I tried every single phone out there? No, but only speaking on the form factor alone, this would be the most comfortable based on my first week with it. And some of you asked how the keyboard and the text screen split would work. The keyboard essentially covers 50% of the display, and the top is to see what you're typing, and if there's a text that's coming in, you can also see that comfortably. But as a whole, the 4:3 ratio at 5.5 inches just sits well. And I know some people like the rounder size, but the flat size helped the phone lock in. You know how you change the law on USB-C ports? If they passed a bill saying all phones need to have flat sides, I'd be personally so down with that. Just look how well it just sits in your hand. This is perfect. Now, we've been talking about how this phone is probably the best for consuming short form content and how the 4:3 ratio content looks amazing. But here's the massive problem with that. Content is not produced in 4:3 ratio. In fact, if a content creator produces a piece of content in 4:3, I'm about 95% sure that the creator would be punished by the algorithm for not posting in the official format, which is 9:16 for vertical. See, social media platforms design their apps based on how people consume their content, and it's safe to say that a big majority of people, let's say more than 90% of the world, use traditional slab phones. When I was creating my first video on the Z Fold 8 last week, and when showing off the vertical no letterbox potential, I actually had trouble finding content that is 4:3. So for Instagram, if you're just on the feed, yes, it extends the content edge to edge, but if you full screen it, you will still have black bars on the side. But there is actually a positive in this as well. When in full screen, you do have black bars, but in return, the UI elements extend to the side, so all the like comment buttons are off to the side and not overlaying on top of the video. So that's a positive. I've been using the cover display and the foldable feature in multiple ways. The half-folded flex mode, even though we don't officially have a flex mode, still works for the YouTube UI. Just find that sweet spot where the phone does not snap back, and then the YouTube UI just splits in half where you can see the video on your folded display. And then I'll use it as a tent mode as well when watching long-form content. And another way is if I'm doing a video call, I like to just stand it up vertically. It's almost like having a case that has a stand. So when you think about it, this is one single display and 4 different ways of using it, including the classic underrated holding on to method. So then we unfold the device, but before we do that, we gotta talk about the hinge. The Z Fold 7 had issues when opening. You had to have that sweet touch. This alone is a good reason for the Fold 8 series if you are in the market for a foldable, and like Android devices of course. Once you unfold, you're looking at a bright and almost glare-free display. And the resolution is 1848 by 2448. Plenty of room to multitask, including splitting your display in 3. But I gotta say, this is not something I would personally use. This may be useful if you deal with numbers in multiple spreadsheets, but for me, I'll use 2 apps at most. It has been absolutely phenomenal editing photos and working on this display as well. And by the way, all of my photos are posted on Instagram. If you are enjoying the video, please subscribe and help me grow this community and follow my Instagram to see some of my photo drops. So let's just assume that you're at the peak of doom scrolling, okay? You're watching a full-length YouTube video, but you're also scrolling through Instagram Reels at the same time. I don't think that is very healthy, but if you are thinking of doing that, you might be wondering what happens to the sound. Do both of the clips play at the same time? So let me demonstrate. I'm watching Wise's video here, love his content, so I'm gonna play his video, and then I'm gonna scroll Instagram Reels.
If it's a Maresca, his role does change, but not too.
And then I'll have the sound on here.
Most of the time,
you see the Instagram Reels media does take over. Just know that you're gonna have to go to Instagram and actually mute all of the Reels and then continue consuming Instagram without audio and continue on watching full-length YouTube video. And let me know if you're using split screen to watch my video right now. Now with the inner display, there are 2 ways you can actually view content or set up your workflow, vertical or horizontal. I've mostly been using the inner display horizontally, and with this device I've picked up a bit of mobile gaming as this was something I've never really cared to explore before. Now this is completely different because we're talking about what it's like using a phone in many different ways. I find that phones have become a bit boring to test and review because they've kind of been just really good, but never interesting. And this is why I like to blend a lifestyle factor into my content. But with the cover and the inner display, the chipset choice, the software, and the ergonomics of this device, this phone has been very interesting and far from boring actually. Okay, I gotta say, watching content, absolutely top notch. But what about the speakers? So I'm gonna play a comparison between the Z Fold 8 and the iPhone 17 Pro. You're probably not gonna hear a big difference, but I'm gonna explain my thought process later. So this is my friend John. His audio quality is always top notch, so this would be a good reference point.
So this is the Z Fold 8, and I'm actually really excited to use this phone. This is show up white on camera, I'm not entirely sure, but it looks pretty pink in person. But what's cool about this is
So that's a comparison on the two devices, and my take is that I prefer the iPhone for speakers, and that's the same with the S26 Ultra. I just think the sound quality is not very pleasant. And there's a part of this that could be subjective, like we could all have different hearing patterns. I tend to be sensitive towards sound profiles that are high in treble. I prefer stuff that is kind of higher in bass. And the thing about Android is that you can customize your sound experience. But then I just think the speaker quality does not handle that well. So I don't know, is it the speaker placement? Is it, the type of the speaker that they use? But in terms of loudness, it'll get loud, no problem. But in my opinion, I just don't think that's gonna sound very pleasant. When I talk about the cameras on a phone, I have a bit of a prosumer perspective towards cameras. See, I used to run my own production company and I did that for years. While doing this, I also made content. And the thing about me is that I like tools that are versatile. Give me a tool that could do a few things and I'm happy. And of course, it has to do those things on hardware level and not AI. And that is how I used all of my phones right after log filming came out on the iPhone 15 Pro series. My phone was kind of like my B camera. I took it to places where I couldn't bring a camera to film. I want to eliminate friction when creating, so that is why I really depend on phone cameras. And here's what I'm trying to get to with that. We have two 50 megapixel sensors on the back of the Z Fold 8, a new 50 megapixel ultra wide from the S26 series, and a few generations old 50 megapixel wide sensor. Both of these cameras are good, but I find that the camera choices here are a little too safe and kind of redundant. What if we left the 50 megapixel ultra wide on and put a 1x optical zoom option, and that became the regular wide angle camera? And instead of the old 50 megapixel wide sensor, that is the second camera on this phone, we swapped it out for a telephoto sensor. I think with direction of phone cameras, zoom is a bigger conversation. I'm happy that they put the brand new ultra wide sensor, but I think the telephoto is a huge miss. As a consumer, if I was going on a trip, because of the zoom limitations, this device would not be my first choice. And to be fair, if you want the better cameras and the zoom capabilities, you can just go for the Z Fold Ultra. I mean, that's why there is the Ultra device. And this whole video is a discussion, so let me know what you think of that. I'll be involved in the comment section. So last week when I took the phone to the city, I had an entire 9-hour day where I didn't charge the phone and I was taking pictures and doing stuff with the phone. And when I got home, it was at like 11%. The first couple of days, I did find that it dropped from 100% to about 65% pretty quick. But the thing is that the phone does learn your user habits, and as soon as it completed that drop from 100% to 70% was not as fast as before. The phone has been on max brightness like for the entire time that I had it, except at like nighttime, so it doesn't blind me. So when I do test out battery life, I do really want to push all the limits. And the beautiful thing about the latest phones is that they charge really fast. And the Z Fold 7, Z Fold 8, this phone has 45 watt wire charging. So typically I don't charge my phone overnight. It's a bad habit. I leave my phone on the bedside. After I wake up, I'll plug it in, and until I drink my coffee, it'll be done charging. It'll get to around 70 to 80%. So I'm okay with that. So because they're quick to charge, even if the battery does drain fast, I can always go for a quick boost. But that totally depends on your lifestyle. I can charge it in the car. I work from home, so I can just charge it at home. And when you think about it, the S26 Ultra has 5,000 milliamp hours, and this one does have 48 milliamp hours. And compared to my S26 Ultra and me using this phone on full brightness most of the time, I think there's about 10 to 20% difference in battery performance. Mind you, this phone is still in its early stages. It just finished learning my habits, so on paper, it is not a big difference. So this was a look at the Z Fold 8 after 1 week of using it as my primary phone. This phone has changed the way I use the phone. For a lot of tasks I would complete on my laptop, I haven't even turned on my laptop. I've also been watching more long-form content on here while doing stuff around the house. So I'm finding that this phone has been very exciting for the phone community, and I'm excited to see all the other devices that will be coming out within the next couple months. As consumers and enthusiasts, this is a really good time for us. I want to thank you all for watching, and as always, it has been a pleasure. I'll see you guys in the next one.